Hey, Nashville SC supporters. It's Jamie Watson here, making sure that I'm doing my part to stay inside. As you've seen, several of the players, Taylor Washington, did a great job giving us a very healthy, a much better prepared dinner that I could have ever made. Just the other day, everyone inside, we were making sure to do our part. But what we want to do today was something a little fun. As one of the TV broadcasters this year for your Nashville SC, I will get a chance to have a lot of FaceTime and interact with fans as the season progresses. When that comes about, we don't know. Obviously, just like everybody else, there are far more important things right now going on. So we want to make sure that we're doing our part, but we wanted to make sure that we still were connected to you, the supporters, the lifeblood of this club. So we thought, what's a fun way to do that? And normally to get FaceTime with the person that we're going to bring in on Instagram Live, it'll probably cost a pretty penny in England. I'm sure there's some reporters along the way that would have paid a bunch of money to get to do what I'm going to get to do for the next 20, 30 minutes or so. And that's get to have a good sit down, a good happy hour discussion across a whole host of topics with the CEO of Nashville SC, Ayre. As you are well aware, this guy is royalty in soccer. He's done things that are unimaginable. He's been a part of accomplishments in clubs like Liverpool, the defending Club World Cup champions, the champions of Europe. It's pretty special to have him be a part of this club. So this isn't going to be just him and I talking, though. We're waiting for him to get into the chat in just a moment. He'll be in here. We'll be doing this. We want to hear from you. Here on Instagram, we asked you in the stories yesterday to send us some questions. Got them right here. Got a lot of them right here. We've got a lot of different topics, a whole host of stuff we're going to discuss. And it's 5 o'clock now. So I'm going to check right now in the mentions here, see who's here. Who should we go live with? Got several requests from some of you. Today, we are just going to have time for Ian because when we get him going, we get him talking, this man can tell some stories. So I'm going to see if we can add him in here today. Let's see what the CEO of Nashville SC, Ian Ayre, is up to. There he is. Ian,
hey, everybody. Good. Just sat here with my beer, happy hour, well stocked, ready to go.
You, sir, are a man of good taste because you graciously sent me via Caitlin and our marketing team a 6-pack of this Fat Bottom Brewing, this pitch invasion lager. Pal,
absolutely.
This thing's going down like water right now.
That's what happy hour is all about, right?
Well, I made sure to take my first drink at 5:01 because, funny enough, I like my job. So I made sure to wait till 5:01. I'm guessing you did the same there too?
No, I'm actually about 3 cans in, and it says on this can, alcohol can impair your ability to drive a car or operate machinery. So if Instagram breaks, it's not my fault.
Hey, it also says, it says just below that, it also means we're going to have a lot better of an Instagram Live the more you drink. And just below that, my jokes get funnier the more you drink. So it's just right there on the can. You don't have to look close enough for it. So we want to say thank you for Fat Bottom Brewing for sending us. They've got this, and I think one other. It's the Pitch Invasion Lager and Breakaway Session IPA was the other one. I almost didn't remember that because I had so many of them. So, hey, so I joked about it before you got on. I said that what I'm getting to do here would probably cost a pretty penny in England. A lot of people, reporters, soccer fans, would just kill to have 20, 30 minutes with you. So first off, I want to say thank you for your time. How's everything going for you? Where are you right now? Because it looks picturesque.
Well, we're everyone inside, but I'm actually outside. But I am at home. I'm out in the garden. I'm in Franklin. I love this place. I love Nashville. I love being in Tennessee. Love being in the US. And, you know, it's a shame what's going on for everybody. Challenging. But, you know, I'm the grey beard gives it away. I'm a bit older than most people I meet. But you know, I think these big challenges just, you know, they say what doesn't kill you make you stronger. And, you know, this is a challenging time for everyone. But as long as everyone stays safe and stays inside and, you know, stays isolated in these periods, I'm sure we'll come back and absolutely soccer will come back. So just enjoying the moment at 5:01 and having a few beers.
Hey, well, I'll tell you what, your beard's looking strong. I've been growing mine out. I'm on day 13 of this quarantine beard. It's not coming in nearly as strong, pal. So you're making it look good. And you know, it's funny. I'm in Franklin too. It's weird. Every time I've tried to Instagram live you or ask you for happy hour, you've always somehow missed my calls. But I had to sneak onto the team page today, and you finally answered my call and are finally
You
having a
you
happy hour
you
here.
just you just have to say you're buying, Jamie, and I'll always turn up.
That's the key, huh?
That's the key.
Well, look, like I would do if I was going to have anybody for 30 minutes with a beer and some time and want to dive into stories, I like asking people the first question, what's your story? So with you, Ian, I want to, I guess, maybe start all the way at the beginning because it's easy to talk about what's recent and what's in recent memory, but let's peel the layers back here. Let's go back to when you were a kid, right? You were a Liverpool supporter from day one. Is that right?
Yeah. So I was about 6 years old. My dad took me to my first game. So I'm 56 now, almost 57. So 50 years I've been supporting Liverpool. And, you know, if you grow up in that city, you're only supporting one of two teams, Liverpool or Everton. And thank God he chose Liverpool. But no, yeah. So it's been a big part of my life, almost my whole life. And, you know, I say it's a soccer city. It's like, you know, people talk about Nashville, the music city. You know, Liverpool's a football city or a soccer city, and it's, you know, number one sport. And it's like, you know, it's like religion in that place. You know, you got to choose your team and choose it for life.
So you said 6 years old then. So what was the first memory you have as a Liverpool supporter? Was it in a stadium? Was it home? Because it wasn't as if every game was televised. You actually, and then times you had to
Yeah.
gather
No,
around the radio.
I remember the first game I went to. I asked my dad this, but it's against Aston Villa when I was 6 years old. So 1969. But the only thing I remember about it is in those days, like, you know, we were quite a poor family. So I went in my school uniform to the game, and in those days we wore short pants for school, and we stood at the back of the cop. And in those days, the cop had these like railings at the back. And I was only little, obviously, and my dad got so tired of holding me that at halftime he hooked the belt of my trousers over the railing and left me hanging there at halftime. So that was kind of my only memory. But I think 1976, 77, no, 75, 76 was the first year I remember going on my own with my friends. I would have been 12. And that season, first home game was West Ham United. I remember it distinctly. First time I got to go on my own, 2-2. But Liverpool won the league that year, won the UEFA Cup that year, both of which I was at. So, you know, when they won the league and when they won the cup. So it was a great start, and it was a great team in those days. Liverpool were the kings of Europe and the kings of football in the UK then. So it was, you know, great time to start going on your own.
Much like now, right? Kings of Europe, they've returned to the top, huh?
Yeah, it's taken a while to get back, but yeah, it's incredible. You know, I couldn't be more pleased for everybody involved there, and obviously as a fan, I'm drinking beers at 9 a.m. some mornings. Maybe some mornings even smaller. I have to give a shout out to the Liverpool supporters group that meet at Nashville Cop, that meet at Party Foul in Donaldson on a Saturday and Sunday morning, rain or shine. Some great people out there, and they deserve a big shout out for looking after me whenever I go down there.
Good. Well, when the time's right, I'll make sure to join you guys as a Liverpool supporter as well. And I guess sticking, we'll dive a little bit more into like Liverpool at the later years in just a bit. I guess when we talk about going to games as young as 6 and then on your own at 12, which, by the way, like I don't think any parent here sending a kid at 12 years old now to a stadium.
Yeah, it's a different world, right? It's a different
be back
world,
by dinner time. Did you want to be a player when you were younger?
Yeah, I wanted to be. You know, I think I just, you know, at the end of the day, it's one of the biggest clubs in the world. Not good enough. I ended up playing a reasonable level later in life, but for me, I never really had this, I sort of, it was an ambition, but I knew it wasn't going to come true. So I kind of, supporting them was great. And obviously I ended up back in sports and back working there at some point. But for me, it was really about doing something that, finding a passion really. And for me, I wanted to get at that time out of Liverpool and go and explore the world. And I joined the military at 16. So left school at 16, which is quite, in those days, was quite common in England. And, and I fulfilled that dream early on. For 10 years, I traveled around the world, lived in all sorts of different countries, traveled to all sorts of different countries, and just had the best time. And I think it's the closest, I would say being in the military is the closest you can be to being a player. And I know you played, it's like, you're hanging out with a bunch of guys all the time. You're all together all the time. You eat, drink, sleep, all in the same area. It's like, it's the same thing, banter and the whole sort of camaraderie. It's very, very similar, and being around players and teams in the last 20 years, there's so many similarities.
Yeah, I mean, I want to ask you more about that because I feel like that's an intriguing part of the story that I didn't know about until just recently about you joining the military. So I want to ask you about that. But I always love asking this question to people when they first talk about their first memory. Normally it's like a first game, and then it's always quickly followed up by like, who was that first player for you that you connected with, that you were like, for whatever reason, maybe you got an autograph from him, maybe you walked by and like, ruffled your hair, as you were hanging out for an autograph by the car park. And then you're like, well, that's my guy now. That's my favorite player. Who was that for you, and how did that come to be?
So for me, in 1977, Liverpool, Kevin Keegan left Liverpool after we won the league and the European Cup, and he left to go to Hamburg, and Kenny Dalglish was signed. And so I was a kid. Yeah, so I was a kid, and you say about autographs. In those days, it's a great story. That in those days, the players parked in these spots. You didn't have squad numbers like you have now, so players 1 to 12 or whatever were car park numbers. So Ray Clements was the goalkeeper, parked in number 1, and so it went. So Kenny used to park in number 7, and I used, like everybody at that age, I'd go and ask for autographs, and he was incredible. Like, for me, the best player ever for Liverpool. And the irony was, like, so many years later, I think like 30 odd years later, I get to work at the club, and my first day at the club, they say to me, here's your car park pass in the main stand car park. Use that on match days, use it when you come to work. Bay 7. So
no way.
Yeah, it's a true story, right?
That's
so I
wild.
was like, have you made it? So the players don't even park there anymore. But for me, it was so nostalgic, being a local kid, growing up in that city, having stood there to wait for autographs, to get to park in that spot. Nobody asked for my autograph there, by the way.
I was going to say, how long was the line? Was it wrapped around Anfield?
Not at all.
Over?
But that was for me, and I'm very lucky to call him a friend now. But the irony of it was incredible, and it was an absolutely brilliant memory for me.
Wow. I mean, the guy's a legend, and obviously his son, Paul Dalglish, has been over here in the U.S., current coach of the
I know Paul well, yeah.
USL side, former Austin man as well. He's a great guy, and
so I spoke to Paul. I spoke to Paul yesterday.
Did you?
He's at Miami now, and we talk fairly regularly. Try to help him out, and he's a great guy. Chip off the old block. Yeah, great. So it's important. Football's a big family. We know that all our supporters are part of the family, and and I think that the best relationships you make are the ones that you keep and nurture. And he's a good guy and doing a great job down there in Miami.
Yeah, he really is, and excited to see them to make the jump into USL Championship again. Storied franchise down there. It's kind of off and on again, but looking to see he gets his touch on it, and I think it'll be exciting. There's obviously another team down in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Inter Miami, making their debut in MLS this season as well. So it goes from
There's another team in Miami.
Well, Fort Lauderdale.
Wow, I didn't know about that.
30 minutes north of Miami. There's one there too. We'll get to see them. They'll make their way up. They're on the schedule, for Nashville this season. Later on in the year, we'll see how that all plays out, and I'm sure more will come out on that later on. But as we're talking about, I guess, growing up, you talked about going to soccer games as you were little. What about like away from soccer? How were you in school? Were you a good student in school? Were you the class clown? Were you like getting detentions? What was
Yeah,
it?
I was really bad actually. And
Like how so like bad, like you were being like kind of a
I
little
was like
bit
very
like
disruptive. Yeah, the class clown's a good description, pretty much. I don't know. I went to a like really tough school, like really tough neighborhood, really tough school. Really hard. Like a lot of really bad kids at that school. So it was kind of hard to get anything done, hard to concentrate. And I think I pretty much played my part. And I remember my mom giving me one of my old school reports. I showed this to my kids some years ago, and it said on it, I think it was for like English or geography or something. It said, Ian is a very capable young man, but he lets himself down by telling jokes which are often in poor taste. So, so I'm not the model for people for their kids probably, but kind of worked it out a bit later on, and I got my game together, as they say. But no, I was not a good student back then.
Yeah, well, at least you didn't. You said they were in poor taste. At least they didn't say they were just poor in general. So you know what I mean. It'd been
Exactly,
worse if you said
exactly.
your jokes weren't even funny.
Some people laugh at some things, right?
Well, a couple more of these, and who knows? By the way,
Absolutely. Don't get
geez, I
me
don't know.
started.
I mean, this seems pretty good. You told me it was good, but
Yeah, it is very good. I can let you into a secret. Just before we all got locked away, Mike Jacobs, our GM, and I were in a sports bar in Nashville drinking this about 2-3 weeks ago, and yeah, we were definitely supporting our sponsor that day.
keeping the lights on over at Fat Bottom Brewing, were you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice of you to do that one. All right, so we're kind of working our way through here, and you mentioned this earlier, and I want to bring it back because you just cavalier mentioned the fact you were in the military. At 16, you joined the Royal Navy. One, how does that come about? Is that something that was like lineage? Was that like in your family? Was it just something that you wanted to do? You felt compelled to do? What was the motivation behind joining the military?
Yeah, it was a mix really. My dad was in the Navy. My grandfather was in the Navy. My brother joined after me. I'm the oldest. And my son's actually just about to join, which is incredible. So yeah, but so there's a bit of that. I think also for me, I was, as we talked about earlier, I wasn't the best at football or soccer, whichever you want to call it. But I did know or did hear that my dad said to me that if you're good at sports, you get looked after in the military as well. So I joined. I just applied. I joined, passed the test, went in, and it was an incredible experience. Like for 10 years, I traveled the world. I served during the Falklands War, the Northern Ireland Troubles, first Gulf War Armilla Patrol. So, served in Hong Kong on the illegal immigrant patrol when Hong Kong was still very separate to China, Mexico earthquake, all these different kind of experiences. But I think the thing that I took from it the most, and I've talked before in sort of business talks about the management training and the people training that you get, about managing people and managing groups of people and managing difficult situations like the one we're all in today. The military is the best at that. Because the difference is, they teach you how to manage in a crisis, because if you get it wrong in the military, people die, right? It's very serious. But the amount of stuff that I learned there that I still apply on an almost daily basis is incredible. So I never joined for that reason, but I feel very lucky and blessed, and it's just incredible that I took that stuff away with me and still get to use it, and taught me how to drink as well, which was probably very as important. So.
I was gonna say, didn't you learn at 12 on your way to Anfield by yourself? I figured that's maybe where you've learned, but it's wild as we're sitting talking with the CEO of Nashville SC, Ayre. For those of you just joining us, keep your comments and questions coming from. We're going to get to those in just a moment. You talked about going into 10 different, 10 years, different countries. We're all for you, I guess. Was there a moment that you thought was maybe the best experience you had, and then maybe the scariest experience you had, if you don't mind diving into that.
I think the best experience I had was in Hong Kong. I lived there for 5 years, or almost 5 years, 4.5 years in the military. I served there, and it was I loved the immersion into a different culture. I mean, I've done that the rest of my life since then. So I've lived in Hong Kong, Malaysia, China, Spain, Germany, and now the US. And I think a big part of that is feeling this love for getting into a different culture, immersing yourself in it, however different or diverse it might be. And so that was my favorite place. And the people I met there, I have so many friends I still keep in touch with there, and people I serve with there. The scariest, it's probably not the ones that people would think, but I think that, I suppose the scariest moment was, I think when we went down to the earthquake in Mexico, a kind of disaster relief team. And first of all, it was pretty horrific, as you could imagine, a lot of devastation, and to be there. But what typically happens after that type of event is there's a whole bunch of aftershocks. So you're in a kind of disaster zone while disasters are still happening. So you're getting an earthquake every couple of, and that physically, that for me was the most scary of anything. And I had a few other scary moments, but for me, that was the most scary. But I think it's the same with everything. It's like what's going on today and how we're all feeling about being isolated. I think that you have to always put these things in perspective. Where we're all, it's very sad. A lot of people lose their lives in this, but you have to think about, focus on the future, focus on the positives, focus on how you're feeling in yourself, focus on doing the right thing and staying inside. And if you do that, you'll get through it, hopefully. And you have to be positive and come out the other side of it. I think we'll all have learned a lot in this process. And I'm always a big believer that take the positives from the negatives. And, I think if we do that and we remain positive and help each other and be sensible, then for most people, it'll be an experience and one you'll get past and talk about for years, right? Just as I am right now.
Wow. Well, I mean, I'll raise a glass and say cheers to you for your service, for our military men and women and service people that are serving. Thank you for your service. And man, that's a story that I'm sure we could never fully unwind, because you said like it was a lifetime of 10 years, and man, that's incredible. But cheers to you.
Cheers.
So you talked about kind of immersing yourself in wherever it is that you live, and really throwing yourself into the deep end. I guess if you were to answer one of the questions we had in the comments when that came up, somebody, I think it was something Anderson, I can't scroll back now, there's been a few comments back, but they said, what is your favorite American slang word? So you've immersed yourself now here for a while. You've been here. We've asked for questions. We got that one as you were telling your story about being in Malaysia. Now that you're here, give us your favorite American slang word that you like.
I don't have a slang word that I think
that you can say here.
But my favorite phrase, American phrase, is drinking from the fire hose. Like,
which is what you do as a CEO daily.
Well, I have to tell you that when I first heard it, I thought it was like a drinking phrase.
You're like, I'm really good at it.
I thought it was like something that you did when you went to a bar with all your buddies, where somebody got like a fire hose out and you have to drink beer out of it. But I found out to my peril what it really means. And as you say, we've been doing that plenty of times over the last 2 years. But I love, it's funny, it's a two-way street for me with our team, as you know, that. Often I'll use a phrase, in a meeting, and suddenly realize that everybody's just staring at me and has no clue what I'm talking about. And likewise, the other way around, I get things that people say, but that's all part of the fun, right?
Yeah, that is funny. That was one of the best bits about that was the Ted Lasso one from NBC SN, when he went to be the coach over in England, and he was an American coach going over to England, and he was coaching Tottenham Hotspur, and he was in and around them. Did you ever see that one? He was it was Jason Sudeikis, I think, was the actor, and he was an American trying to go over there, and they were teaching him all the terms. If you haven't seen it, it's one of the best bits.
I haven't seen it. I've seen the reverse of that, which is the Bob Bradley show on the UK on
Brad
Soccer
Bobley.
AM. Brad Bobley, which is for me is very funny, but probably not for Brad Bobley.
Can I tell you, I had to interview Bob Bradley the week that came out, and I had probably watched it about 100 times because, as you said, it was hilarious. It was an American guy over in England, and instead of Bob Bradley, they named him Brad Bobley. Ian, I was terrified of calling him Brad Bobley in the interview to his face, because if you know Bob Bradley, he is intense. He was a coach of mine for the under-23 team, and great guy. I mean, Salt's a full human being.
He got a rough ride in England. He's a good coach.
Intense.
I have a lot of admiration for him and as a coach, but you know, he had a tough run at Swansea, and then the one thing everyone who tunes into UK humour is that people love to haze you or kill you if you get anything wrong. So he got a lot of stick, but that's life, right?
Yeah, he said like an American term for something for
defense or something.
Yeah, something like that, and of course then you Englishmen made his Premier League.
It's who we are, man. It's who we are. We're just making life tough.
That's when you like somebody, is when you give them banter. If you don't give them banter, then you're kind of like...
It's a sign of affection.
Yeah, exactly. So, by the way, sign of affection.
Yeah. I'm on can 3, by the way. So.
Are you? My apologies. Let me just, another pitch invasion.
Keep
just
up.
Go down from our friends at Fat Bottom Brewing. I got another question on here while we were talking, because this is quickly turning into my favorite local craft beer. Are these one of our sponsors, by the way? Actually, but as much as I've talked about them, they're one of our sponsors.
Yeah, one of our partners. Yeah, they're a fantastic partner. Quinn and the guys there at Fat Bottom have been brilliant. They supported us through all our events leading up to the launch and through the really great people. And I think, they're in the perfect job for themselves, because they're actually a really sociable bunch. Their staff and the owners and everybody, they're the sort of people you can have a beer with, and that's quite fitting for people who make it. So it's good to have a friend who makes beer, right?
Yeah, right. That's never a bad thing. So while they always wanted to be in brewing, you always wanted to be in football. You've done that. One thing that always goes good with beer is barbecue. One of the questions somebody asked in the Instagram live chat here while we were talking, favorite barbecue spot in Nashville. Do you have one yet?
Yeah, I do. I have a favorite barbecue stuff, and I have an issue with barbecue. So my favorite barbecue spot is peg leg porkers.
Okay. Now, second part. What's your
my barbecue issue is, why does everybody that you meet in America, particularly in the South of America, tell you that they have the best barbecue? Like, everybody.
Because then you go try it.
I went to Memphis. We had the best barbecue. I went to Knoxville. We have the best barbecue. I went to Alabama. We had the best barbecue. Like, everybody's got the best barbecue. It's kind of sort of tastes pretty much the same to me. But I'm no connoisseur of barbecue. But
we'll get you there.
But peg leg porkers in Nashville for me.
Peg leg's good. I've heard Puckett's is really good.
Also very good. Yeah. Also very good. And
downtown Franklin, good spot there.
Yeah.
And
there's plenty of it about, and I love it. I think. But peg legs, because our chief revenue officer, Will Alexander, during I think it was when I came for my first interview with John Ingram, he actually took me out for lunch and took me there, and I was like, yeah, this is my kind of place. And
Will's awesome. Will
beer
and his area like the back of his hand. Of course, he took you.
Beer and pigs, right? So
yeah, right.
Pigs, what a combination! So.
Hey, America. No wonder you stayed, huh? You didn't go back.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just rip the passport up right there. I don't need to go
Absolutely.
back. Oh man, this is really cool. And for those of you joining in, again, CEO of Nashville SC, Ayre, joining us. Jamie Watson, TV broadcaster here today. Thank you for joining in for your questions. So there are a couple questions that we got from people over the last 24 hours. We put it in the Instagram story. People responded, and I've got them here in front of me. So Judah and Lime, obviously have this wonderful anthem for us, Never Give Up on You, which has taken on a life form of its own on the field. Now that we've heard it in the stadium, we heard him play it at the opener. Then it was tied in with a lot of the disaster relief and the efforts. It became like this anthemic song that the city of Nashville rallied around after the devastating tornadoes. For you, you were one of the big proponents of it, and you came from a background of You'll Never Walk Alone at Liverpool. So one, did you think that Never Give Up on You had the ability to be for Nashville what You'll Never Walk Alone is for Liverpool? Do you think it could have that same synonymous, you go there, you sing it with everybody arm in arm, strangers become friends, friends become second family type thing? Did you see that when you first heard the first track from Judah and Lion and the first go at it?
Yeah, I think it was interesting. I have to say that there's a guy who's, had little praise for this at this stage. A guy called Steve Schnurr from EA Sports, who's the head of music at EA Sports, or president of music. We started talking about a song for the team, and he very much felt like, you'll never an anthem rather than a song, and I love that, and he deserves the big shout out for that. I don't think you're trying to be, different teams have different songs. West Ham has I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles.
Yep.
Liverpool. And, the funny thing about You'll Never Walk Alone, and a lot of people don't know this story, but it wasn't, first of all, it obviously wasn't written for Liverpool Football Club. It was a musical, Carousel. It was in the musical, Rodgers and Hammerstein. And the reason that Liverpool adopted it was actually, the story goes that when Bill Shankly was the manager, his wife liked the musical, and he mentioned it to the guy who played the music at the stadium.
No way, really?
Yeah, that's a true story. And so it only really happened around the 60s, late 60s for Liverpool. It's not like club's been around 100 years or more.
Yeah.
And what I thought when we started to put the anthem together, and the first time I heard it, was we're never trying to be Liverpool or anyone else. We often get asked that, we get asked like the success of Atlanta, are you trying to be like them? We're not trying to be anyone. We're trying to be Nashville.
Yeah, every club's their own.
Yeah, we're not trying to be Liverpool either. But I think that if you're a soccer team, football team, basketball team, football team here, you want to own your own space. You want to own your own colours. I don't really look that good in yellow, but I'm owning it, right?
Hey, pal, you look pretty sharp.
But the thing is, like, we want to build something, and we're just starting out, right? So we have to be realistic about what we can achieve in our first year, and I don't mean on the field necessarily. I mean overall. So we wanted to start something that we hope can grow, and it's almost, you couldn't make it up that we launch our team, we have 60,000 people show up, we have incredible support from all of Nashville, from the back line, our supporters, all these people, everybody just makes this incredible spectacle on the 29th of February. And we play our anthem for the first time, and Judah performs it live, and he's in the crowd, and then like 3 or 4 days later, we have a tornado, and it's like, it kind of becomes a thing about bringing the city together. And like, you could not make that up, but no. I've seen it at Liverpool. You can imagine during the Hillsborough time that it became so prophetic there, and that's what these things are about. And so I think we designed it not for that. We designed it because we wanted people to be able to have something that they all connect with and can sing. And I hope it continues to grow and be as important, not just to soccer in Nashville, but to Nashville. Like we own the song. The great thing about the collaboration with Judah is, they wrote the song for us. It's our song. We have control over it, all those good things, because we want it to be for Nashville. We want it to be for Nashville Soccer Club. We want it to be for Nashville, the city, the people of Nashville. And it's, I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I mean, it was incredible. We, hearing it in the stadium for the first time, that was crazy. That was really cool. And it's hard to pick just one moment. And I know We were starting to get a little long in here, so I won't keep you too much longer. But I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you in this first one. What was your? I guess you talked about them playing it in the stadium. What was your favorite memory from the first game? What was the one thing when if I say your first thought from the first game, what do you remember first and maybe best and most from that game? What's that first thought that comes to your head?
It's probably the thing I have the least the least stories from, in the sense that I honestly got home. We went for a few beers afterwards, as you do, but I think I saw you there.
Hey, I wasn't gonna call you. I was gonna say a few. Hold on.
But when I woke up the next day, one of the things that hit me was that it was almost like it passed me by, just because I had, we had so much going on to deliver that. And but the one moment that I do remember is I managed to get down to the far end of the field at the time when they played when Lizzie L did the Lizzie Hale did the guitar riff.
Yeah.
And I was just looking at it thinking, like, because we, people in our team, Chris Jones and others had been put so much work and his team into that, and people, in our team with Gibson and to see it, because we were trying to create something that'll be quite unique and uniquely Nashville, and to see it actually playing out. And what a great choice Lizzie Hale was, because
she killed it.
She killed it, right? And she was
incredible.
Rock and roll, right? And
through and through.
So I think that'll be the lasting memory for me of that. And the other one I would say is, and this will sound cheesy and sound like I'm sucking up to my boss, but to see the smile on our owner John Ingram's face, like
how cool is that?
People should, like, it's such a big thing to make this sort of commitment and an investment in a team. And he's such a humble guy and would never say it. But I was just watching him that day on the field when it was all going off, and it was all and it must have felt I know it felt incredible to him, because he told me, and so they'll be with me forever. The reason I came here, the reason I wanted to come to Nashville, was great place, great people, incredible fans, but getting to build this whole thing and be a part of it is, that doesn't happen, right? I mean, there aren't many countries in the world where anyone starts a new football or soccer team. So to get to be a part of that and to be there as you were and I was on the 29th, and hopefully all the people who are watching today we were all part of that. We all made history together, and it won't happen again for Nashville, but we're going to keep it going, and it's going to be great fun.
Yeah, you only get your first time once, and that was such a high standard to set. And I think that obviously the result didn't go the way you wanted to, but everything apart from the result was just. Could you have imagined that? I mean, like when you pictured it, did it all come off that way in your mind? I mean, was that like, okay, best case scenario in a perfect world, it comes off with 60,000 people, or did you even think it could be that big? I mean, because the record before that was 56,000.
When I pictured it in my mind, it was a disaster, right? Because that's where you go.
Pictured
right?
Every worst case scenario, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that the one thing I always believed was that somebody said to me, probably in like my second or third week, I was in Nashville. And I said, like, I have no idea who's going to show up for soccer, right? Because who would, right? I mean, we had some history of soccer in the city, and USL had started just before then, but not at this scale. And I was like, and somebody said to me, I was invited to dinner by somebody and some people, and one of them said to me, listen, man, Nashville shows up for Nashville. And I kind of stuck with that in my mind and in my heart to a degree. And
say that again.
Nashville shows up for Nashville, right?
I like that a lot.
And by the way, boy, did Nashville show up for Nashville Soccer Club, right? So, and that's the most important thing. We can, people like Mike Jacobs and Gary and all the people who work on the soccer side do an incredible job of building a roster. And there's still a lot of work going on there. And they do so much to put a great team. We will put a great team on the field and have and continue to. But I think that the most important piece. We have great partners who help us kind of put this show on, if you like. But the most important thing is who shows up on game day, right? Who watches on TV, who turns up for stuff like this, and Nashville shows up for Nashville. It's such a great, thing that somebody said to me, and I 100% believe in it. And we feel very fortunate and lucky that we have a brilliant relationship with, the people, the supporters at the back line, and I speak to people.
The assembly, the roadies, Brigada de Oro.
People who stop me on the street, it's like people are stoked about talking. It's a shame that somebody stuck a pin in our big balloon, but doesn't mean we won't, inflate it again and come back. And all of those people will all still be there. We'll all be drinking these beers and watching soccer again soon, I hope. And
you can. I've got to be on the TV for it, so you don't want me drinking these.
Yeah, well, maybe it'll make you better. I don't know. It's not for me to say.
You know what? That was a great goal. That was so good. That was so good. That would be that's the after hour broadcast there. Look, I know we've kept you for a long time. And being a Liverpool supporter myself, dating back to, I can actually remember my first game. I'll give you this real quick as I won't keep you much longer. I still remember my first game actually going to Anfield. It was in December of 2006. It was a 4-0 win against Fulham, and we sat down by the Cop End, and I actually went with your captain, Dax McCarty. He was there that day, and Adidas had taken us on a trip with Generation Adidas, and so we all went, and that was where I first fell in love to see Liverpool at Anfield, in front of the Cop End, singing "You'll Never Walk," all that. I mean, you just got caught up in the midst of it. And I want to dive a little bit deeper into that with you, but I know we're running out of time today. So would you do another happy hour with me in the next coming days so we can properly dive into all of that and how, you got your start into being the CEO at Liverpool, and then your trip to the United States that changed the trajectory of your life and started Nashville SC and Major League Soccer. Can we do this again and dive a little bit deeper maybe next week?
Absolutely, more than happy to. And on the Liverpool theme, I have a let's say, call it a prize that I want to offer up. So this
you didn't show up empty-handed. Look at this.
So this is a match-worn shirt from the 2012 League Cup final, which Liverpool won when I was CEO. And so anyone who wants to win this, if they DM into our Instagram account,
okay,
and tell me whose shirt is this, so only I can see whose name and number is on the back. It's a match-worn shirt. It's not signed.
Well, there's a mirror behind you, so we can see it right now. Actually,
you wish, right? But, and just so everyone who's tuning in knows, Jamie's a big Liverpool fan and asked me what was on it, and I didn't tell him because I knew he would get one of his friends to DM him and try to win it. So it's you've got the 11 starting players and the substitutes to guess from, because it's all on the internet. But first person to DM in who actually gets it right, we'll get that out to you, and appreciate the time and the questions.
That's awesome. All right, so get your answers in. Who is that? It was the 2012
League Cup final.
League Cup final. That's right. League Cup final. They won it that year. That's right. And it's been so many trophies in the history of Liverpool. It's hard to keep up. So you send in the answer of whose jersey is in your hands right now. The first one to get the correct answer, we'll know because of the timestamp on there. We'll send it out, care of Nashville SC, care of Ayre, who was obviously the managing director at the time with Liverpool. Will win that prize. That's really nice. I would offer something up, except
what about that shirt at the back there? Yeah.
I would give it away, but you'd be able to guess who's on the back of the jersey.
Yeah, 13, unlucky for some, right?
That was unlucky because I wore that, and I think my career peaked at that time. That was the U17 World Cup right there, so it peaked at 16. That was, so we can't give that one away. It's fine glass.
Definitely not.
There we go. That's really cool of you. Thank you, Ian, for the gift. Thank you for the time today. You want to do this again next week?
Absolutely, let's do it, and let's bring some fat bottoms to it.
Hey, any excuse to get more of this in front of me and get you at a happy hour, I am in for. So for those who are tuning in, whether you're live or whether you'll see the replay of this, because there's so much more to dive into the story of Ayre, the CEO of Nashville SC, the soccer legend, the guy who's got 1,000,001 stories. Because we couldn't tell it all here tonight, he's graciously going to give us some more of his time later this week or next week, most likely next week. We'll keep you up to date at what time. Ian, go back inside with the family. Enjoy your time with them. The picturesque scenery you've got there. Enjoy the beautiful weather we have here this afternoon. Thank you so much for all your hard work that you're doing for the club, guiding the ship here, and thank you for your time here tonight.
Well, thank you. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I'm staying out here with the beer and the dog, and thanks to Fat Bottom for supporting us.
There
Thanks,
we
everybody.
go. And
take it easy.
We'll do
everyone
it again
inside,
next week.
right?
There we go. Everyone inside. All right. Thanks a lot. Stay safe. We'll see you soon.
Thank
All right,
you.
Ian?
Take it easy.
All right. Bye, guys. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in.